Emma with 8 Big here at Chilada Chats. We have Michelle Breyer with us. She is a CMO of SKU, as well as an entrepreneur, the founder of Naturally Curly, which we're very excited about. Curls are for the girls.
Yes.
As well as a mentor. And yeah, so basically at Chilada Chats, we talk spicy commerce. So we have an enchilada and we put hot sauce and kind of eat it throughout while we're just talking about, you know, the supply chain and all that kind of good stuff. So I like to kick it off with a few kind of like, I'm not very good at making them really fast, like questions, just like fun questions. Like, so kind of just say like what comes into mind, like don't think about it too hard. Like, what is your spirit animal?
A cat.
Oh, a cat. Why?
Just because we have cats and I find them to be like soulful and they have great personalities and they're also like emotional support.
Yeah.
This sounds ridiculous, but our family, we talk through our cats sometimes. Like we have voices for them.
Oh no, I think this is everyone. Like, I mean, you're not like an animal parent. If you had been like, oh, hello.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about your dream vacation destination?
Oh gosh, Denmark.
Denmark. Have you been?
Yeah, when I was 16, and it was the most amazing place. And I always said I would get back, and I have not been back. And during COVID, I watched every kind of Danish TV show and movie, and it just really, really made me want to go back. So
what are Danish TVs and movies?
Oh, there's one called Rita, which is amazing, and I'm not going to remember the names of the others. Borgen is I'm totally.
Wait, it's good on you for remembering like the names of them.
Yeah, but it's a wonderful country, and the people are so friendly, and the food is amazing.
Yeah, it's like the food, like Dane,
lots of pastry.
Yeah,
but yeah, so that it's just perfect place to go.
Okay, well, maybe favorite food. What's your favorite food?
Sushi.
Okay, any type of sushi?
Gosh, there's so much. There's this new thing that I tried. It's like crispy rice with spicy tuna on top, which is amazing. And
I don't know why crispy rice is that's good at it.
Oh, it's just so
like
good.
Crunch, like I don't know.
Yeah. And rolls. I love rolls. And then unagi, which is the eel, is amazing.
Oh, the eel. I feel like I'm not as big of an eel girl.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's hit or miss for me.
Yeah.
Mine's is kind of crunchy.
It should not be crunchy.
That's a really bad eel. Okay, maybe. Yeah.
That eel has been on the plate a little too long.
Yeah, I'm getting like the bargain deal. Yeah. Okay, awesome. So why don't we start off with hot sauce? So we have a bunch of hot sauces from Yellowbird. We're going to keep talking to Yellowbird out there until they want to sponsor us. In the meantime, we'll throw them our money. Here we go. Okay, you can just do it. I like to put like a little bit at the beginning, like
so that
you know
thirds or
because I made a mistake of not remembering which hot sauce was which.
Well, I want to remember. So is this a mild hot sauce?
This one's pretty mild. It's like a fun. It's Serrano organic garlic, cucumber, and lime bun, so perfect for the summer. Everyone who wants to have a summer.
They should sponsor you because it's free advertising.
Yeah, I know, right? I think if we just do it enough and like tag them in everything, like eventually they'll have to acknowledge us. Well, they haven't acknowledged us, but sorry, not as warm. I haven't gotten the heat thing right.
No, this is like the perfect heat.
Oh, wow. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, so we'll see where we go from here.
Right. Yeah, this was like not bad at all. So, could you tell me? So, I would love to dive in. So, you founded a company called Naturally Curly. Could you talk a little bit about what that company does?
Started off just as a community where people could go on and kind of support each other because curly hair can be challenging, and there was nothing out there, no photos, everyone kind of ignored.
And when was this?
When this was 1998. And so it started, some articles, but there was something called Curl Talk, which was a discussion board but it kind of took off immediately, and suddenly we had thousands of followers, and there were no hair products for curly hair, but a couple people developed them on the site. And so within a short amount of time, we started Curl Mart, which was an e-com site, and was the first e-com site that carried curly hair products. And a lot of them were small indie brands. And then I think now Curl Mart sells about 300 brands.
Wow.
Yeah, because the industry has exploded.
It's great. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. There is like just the revolution and understanding that there's so many different types of hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like it feels pretty recent.
Yeah.
Like in 1998, like
Yeah,
I think
nothing.
I wanted straight hair, so
Everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you start it? Like how did you think of it?
It was a bitch session. So we're having at a friend's house, and somebody overheard us and thought it was like ridiculous and funny that a couple people could spend that much time talking about their hair, and suggested that we start like a discussion board or like a magazine or a website.
Yeah.
And, we were drunk enough that we thought it was a good idea, and then we kind of started building it. And what do we want it to be like on napkins and things like that. And my neighbor's 13-year-old son designed our first site, and the curly hair moved. And it was funny because we launched it, and immediately people found us from like all over the world.
Wow.
And because there was such a pent-up demand. And so everything kind of developed out of the community, and e-com really was the thing that helped us, that was our core for a long time, and continued to be a big revenue stream.
Yeah. Community is definitely something that we see like in e-commerce. I mean, in lots of industries, but I feel like e-commerce in particular, because it's like a lot of times you're just a solopreneur starting out, like you don't really know what you're doing, you don't have coworkers, and so like having community of people to go to and like get support. But I'm also curious, like how did you, so like the demand was so high, but like how did you cultivate that community? Like how were you, because I feel like even if the demand high, like you could still like do it the wrong way. So
well, it's funny because if we started today, I don't know whether we would have started the right way, because it was so organic. Curl Talk was all it was, and so we already had this built-in community, and then we started having ways for them to spend money, like different ways to monetize that community. But it was really all about listening to the community. And then I think about some of the other things we did, like we had articles and we wrote about products and things like that, which now, a lot of e-com sites have, branded content and things like that. We didn't call it that because it didn't really exist at that time. But the community was everything. And it is hard to build a community. Like you can have all kinds of things for them, but it doesn't mean people are going to come or that they're going to stay. They're going to interact with each other. And, so it's...
How did you get them to stay?
Well, I think we were lucky because we were there first, and one of the big things was, as more people came, making sure it was the kind of environment where people felt supported and protected, and any kind of community, whether it's Twitter or whatever, you can get one or two kind of toxic people, and the whole thing goes wrong, and then people don't want to be a part of it anymore because it's just a post and everybody flames you, and that's not a good experience. So it was really about making sure that didn't happen. And we just had some really amazing people who kind of became leaders, and they were so positive that it really kind of set the tone.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm curious if there were like, what kind of challenge, were there any moments where you're like, oh God, like this was not how I expected this to go?
All the time.
Yeah.
Like we were doing this on the side, and we had day jobs, and
what were you doing?
I was a newspaper reporter, and so I would be out on the catwalk doing a deal with a hair care company, and it was hard to juggle. And both my co-founder and I were having babies, and we were like, what are we doing? You know, this is crazy. And then we decided to do it full time when we hit a certain revenue level. And that week we lost our biggest advertiser. And, you know, my house got robbed.
Oh my God.
You know, like all these things happened where I was like, what the hell? Like, this is crazy.
One thing after another.
But it, you know, I think working at SKU and working with all these founders, you know, that is a continuous thing. Like it's never like this. It's always kind of like this.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. The hockey stick is fake. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is some people. But I mean, some companies, like, when you think of, I mean, this is more like a tech company, but like your Instagrams and stuff, you're like, they never actually made profit.
Yeah.
They just got purchased. So I feel like
there's this great company. I don't know whether you've ever had Midday Squares. It's a chocolate company.
Oh, I've heard of. Have you guys heard of it?
Oh, it's like so amazing. But they did something so creative. Like their marketing department didn't they didn't spend anything on marketing. They just had like TikTok videos of like, this is what's happening in our company today. And it could be something horrible that had happened. Like they lost a big account or whatever, but it was like all about their lives. Yeah. And that was, you know, it was like, they're huge now.
Yeah.
And I think it's because that built a community.
Yeah.
People felt like they were kind of along for the ride.
Yeah.
But it also, you know, was a really good example of those ups and downs and how like,
true.
Yeah, it was probably good for a lot of the other founders to see that so that they could, you know, feel as if what they were going through wasn't, you know.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's really smart because I feel like, especially like as a marketer, like the first thing that you're always trying to do is look as successful as possible.
Yeah.
You know, and make people feel like we're everywhere, we're all the time, we're doing so well, how are you, kind of thing, even when, but I feel like there's such a need for, now more than ever, like, authenticity.
Yes.
Like, it's like, I feel like everyone tries to, like, get authenticity, so it's harder and harder because, like, things that you used to be able to do, we're like, oh, that's unique, and now everyone's like, oh, everyone does that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you know, even on Instagram or whatever, you know, you see a growing number of people, or maybe not enough people, who are posting about kind of real life things. I feel like so many people post like literally the highlight reels, and everything is so, you know, like staged.
Yeah.
I hear from brands that in lots of different industries that they have shied away from some of the kind of mega influencers because it feels so not authentic sometimes. And it's, you know, like I think the truly good influencer campaigns are with people who organically would use that product.
Yeah.
It feels like, you know, you don't feel like they're being paid attention.
Yeah, like they actually would use it. Okay, let's do the next hot sauce. But I do want to ask you about influencer campaigns that you've run that were successful, and like what you think some of the factors were, which I guess like probably kind of similar to what you just said. But I just want to hear a little bit more about your influencer experience. And this is the habanero one, so it's like the next one up. It's like we got a little bit of a kick.
Okay.
But it ain't too bad.
It'll be a real victory if I finish this without like a big thing enchilada down my down my shirt.
I know. I feel like we're going to talk about how it's good. Starter cake. It's like, it's definitely hot, but it's not. I think it's probably my favorite one of all of them.
Yeah, it's enough.
It's like
a challenge, but it's not.
It's like fun. You're not having a bad time. But yeah, let's. I'd love to hear a little bit more about your influencer campaign with like Naturally Curly, or any of the work that you've done with like mentoring entrepreneurs who are doing that as well.
Well, Naturally Curly, we did a big campaign for Sephora, and we used our community members, and they were, you know, obviously aspirational, but they were real. And we asked them like which of these products because it was all huge campaign that we're doing for curly hair, like which of these would you use or would you use, and again, it felt very authentic.
Mm-hmm.
And none of them were like mega influencers. They were, probably the 5,000 to 10,000 follower, some in the 20,000, but it did really well for them.
That's great. I'd love to hear a little bit more about SKU. Maybe you could explain what SKU is. Actually, I had told you earlier, like not on the show, referring to like a conversation that wasn't on this, but Steven Bluestein.
Yes.
Pride Bites.
Yeah.
He was our first
really?
person on this, and he was in a SKU class.
So SKU is a consumer product accelerator. It is the first consumer product accelerator in the country. It started in Austin. And Austin at the time was kind of, everyone knew it, Silicon Hills, like Techie Town.
Silicon Hills.
Yeah.
Liza know it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cute.
So lots of support for tech startups, like lots of incubators, trade groups. But Austin was also becoming kind of a hotbed for consumer product startups.
Yeah.
And so this group of people, including an attorney, a couple of founders of successful companies, a guy named Clayton Christopher who founded Sweet Leaf Tea, Deep Eddy Vodka, Waterloo Sparkling Water, Scott Jensen who founded Stubbs Barbecue Sauce and Rhythm Superfoods like kelp chips. And they thought, well, let's create something. And the program includes weekly classes, but the big thing that I think sets us apart is both the quality of our mentors and the way we do it, where we have mentor teams. So each brand gets a team of mentors that is like an executive team, and they all work together. They have meetings, they are all like collaborating. And so, the brand has everything it needs, someone with operations and sales strategy and branding and, an attorney, someone who is an investor. So, I think that collaboration, because I've been a part of I've been a mentor for other incubators where it's like you doing a one-off, like there's other mentors, but you're all kind of working alone.
Yeah.
And I think the collaboration really is kind of the magic. Like that's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
So, and we have incredible mentors, like the head of emerging brands for 7-Eleven and
Oh, wow.
the director of creative excellence for Coca-Cola, and my personal favorite, the guy who invented the pumpkin latte and the pumpkin scone for Starbucks.
Oh, wow.
So it's a really, really, high caliber mentor. And for them, they love it because they get to, work with founders, and it's very energizing. And they often say like they get as much out of it as they, are giving, because it kind of gets them thinking more entrepreneurial, like and they take that back to their business, like you work in a big company like Coke or, Frito-Lay, and you don't have that opportunity to kind of be scrappy and really think outside the box. And so it allows them to do that. But they also love being around other kind of rock star mentors. Yeah. And they become friends, and a lot of times they do business with each other. So I think that's the magic of SKU.
Yeah.
So about 100 companies, over 100 companies have gone through from all over the country, every possible consumer product category, from food and bev, beauty, clothing, jewelry, pet, you name it. It's probably a company has gone through. Women's sexual health. We have a company called Rosy Baby that is a at-home insemination kit,
So wow.
Yeah.
At home.
Yeah, at home.
Huh.
So and we've had some like really well-known companies like CIK went through, and they were very small, just, in the $100,000 range. They actually rebranded during SKU. A company called Epic Provisions, which is like the kind of meat, fruit, and nut sticks that like has a picture of a bison on it or a chicken.
Yeah.
Seaweed Bath Company, Austin East Ciders, just a like a wide range of companies. Yeah. Yeah. So it's
Fantastic.
yeah, so it's a lot of fun. It's hard. It's hard work. A lot of the founders, it may be one of the most difficult things they've ever done, but for a lot of them, like they're on their own. A lot of them are solopreneurs and they are trying to figure it out all on their own. They may have come up with a really great product, but they don't have background in, like channel strategy or e-com. Like they're having to like really figure it out on their own.
Yeah. Maybe let's go to the next one.
Oh, wow.
So if we have people watching who would be interested in joining SKU, like what do you look for in terms of like who you accept?
So the founder is key. It has to be somebody who, really, thank you. We look for someone who has a really good why, like why they founded it. Was it a personal problem that they were trying to solve? A funny problem, it has to be compelling that way. They have to be coachable, which means like they're willing to listen to other people. And, through interviews, you can kind of tell that if they get defensive when you ask certain questions, that's like a big red flag. The product has to be innovative in a really hot category. And so we had a sparkling water company, you could say that's like a really crowded category, but they brought something new to it in terms of their flavors and their branding. It's called Ora Bora. Really interesting flavors. I encourage you to go. They're everywhere now. Like when they started with us, they were doing about
Bora,
AURA and then BORA.
How cute.
But when they went through SKU, they had about 20,000 sales, and now they're probably, 12, 15 million. So,
wow. So incredible. Yeah.
they have to have traction. Sorry.
How is it?
Hasn't kicked in yet. It's good.
Isn't bad, right? Which one is this? Oh, this is the ghost pepper one. I'm like, maybe I'll just pour all of them more in.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, it will be spitting.
Yeah, right. Like, I can do this.
Yeah, so we also look for, they have to have some traction. Like we like them to have sales of 100 million a year, or 100,000 a year or more. And, it can range. We have some companies that go in, they have a couple million in sales, but they feel like they've gotten to a certain point and they don't know how to get to the next point.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. 100,000 is also a fixed threshold. Yeah, so you said like you've been a mentor, so you've also been working with a lot of different founders. So specifically in the CPG, which is like obviously is still big, like consumer packaged goods, what kind of challenges have you seen that a lot of founders face like now in that environment?
I think the biggest is the whole working capital issue. Like to grow, you have to be able to support that growth. So you get a big PO from a Walmart or a Target, and if you're not prepared for that, it could put you out of business. And because they may not pay for like 60 or 90 days, and you have to produce enough inventory to support it and support it through like trade spend and everything. And so sometimes it can put people out of business if they're not prepared. Or, we've had quite a few people have gone on Shark Tank and they can't really prepare for that. Like how many sales are they going to get? And then, you want to be able to take advantage of that. But juggling, having enough working capital is a really, really big thing for these brands. And also I'd say figure out where they should be selling. Like there's some companies that think that they want to be in a Costco or something, but that really isn't the right place for them to be selling.
Yeah.
Like maybe they're in the natural channel and they really should focus on those companies.
I'm curious about that. So like clearly we are really in the world of like e-commerce, but how do sellers know, like how should they be selecting their channels? Like how should they be dividing like how much they're selling on e-com or like how much they're selling on, or they should be in a Costco, they should be in a Whole Foods. Like, are there kind of general like variables or things they should look at when they're deciding those?
Market research is like really, really important, like really understanding like who is your consumer, who is your target consumer, and where are they shopping.
Yeah.
I always think people should have some kind of e-com presence. Well, margins are higher, and it keeps you closer to like your consumer. You can get feedback all the time, and Amazon ends up being a place that whether you are going there, somebody else is putting you there, you definitely should have an Amazon presence. But really looking at your consumer and figuring out, we have a plant-based jerky company, so Whole Foods is good for them, but also 7-Eleven is expanding its jerky section, and so jerky is kind of a 7-Eleven type product too. So, but not expanding too fast, like do really well at a certain retailer or a certain geographic area and then start expanding, because it can really, again, put you out of business if you try to be too many places.
Yeah. I'm also curious about the supply chain factor. Like, I don't know how much, you've been in that world and like involved with entrepreneurs. Like, if you've seen maybe just things that you can do in terms of making sure that you're having the right product, or especially if there's things like beauty where I feel like it's more complicated because you have
It's really complicated.
FDA, like you need to make sure it's not just like, oh, it looks nice, but it's like,
I mean, number one, in terms of supply chain, from a ingredient and packaging and all of those things that can get really, really complicated, definitely was a huge issue, obviously, during COVID, especially for for all companies, but beauty companies, because there's so many, like they have a box and they have a jar or a bottle, and there's so many different components usually to different types of beauty companies. And we had one where one of their ingredients, they were sourcing it from China, and they had to find a different place for it. And regulations are kind of a whole other making sure that you're getting the approvals, and then also we have a guy, he's always a big bummer, but he is definitely somebody that is probably one of the best speakers we have. He's an attorney who talks about the legality of what you're putting on your label. Like, can you actually say you're all natural? Can you actually say that you're vegan? Like, you can't just put things on a label if it really isn't actually true. Yeah, what does that mean?
have you seen that happen?
Oh, yeah.
Where what happened? Like, how, like, you're like, oh, we're natural, we're organic, and they're not, and then what?
We do their whole packaging, and that's easier than trying to figure out how to redo your product. So it fits that. Maybe that's something you do down the road, but in the near term, for a lot of startups, especially, like trying to redo your product, the whole formulation to meet a certain requirement is like really, really costly.
Yeah. I imagine Naturally Curly, things like that happen, or...
definitely. Because we worked with indie brands, and a lot of them, I mean, like, they couldn't really afford to make major changes. And so we did a lot of market research for companies and, product development, things like that. And we made sure when we were counseling them, like, these are the things you can do, these are the things you can't, these are what you can say. Like, so really think about that formulation before you start, making huge quantities of it.
Yeah.
And do all your packaging,
Yeah, there's a lot of variables. Speaking of variables, let's add the last one.
Oh, no.
Da-bomb. It is beyond insanity, and it is 135,600 Scoville units. Do I know what a Scoville unit is? No.
And is that also Thunderbird?
No, this is so it's not Yellowbird, it is...
Oh, Yellowbird, sorry.
Thunderbird is like a good name though as well. So
we had a product in Steel called Thunderbird. It was Thunderbird bars. So.
Oh, what was it?
It actually is what Epic Provisions came out of it. It's like it's like a bar, a snack bar. They're really good.
Don't mind me.
Yeah.
There's like some things we have to.
Oh boy, I'm scared.
I'm just gonna
What? Dab.
just a dab. Well, it's kind of stuck in there though.
Oh boy.
Whoa. This will be like a great little clip to just have on like a reel. It's me smashing it.
Okay.
Yeah, you probably just need to doubt. I think I probably went a little overboard. Yeah. It's like, yeah. It's like, I don't know, it's bad, but it honestly is, I don't know. One time it did get in my eyes. That was
Oh, that's not good.
really terrible. But yeah, so just don't touch your face afterwards.
Yeah, I can. Yes.
Yeah.
I can feel the heat. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there. It's like, you know, you're like, okay.
Yeah, I thought not so bad, and then
And then it's the throat.
yeah. Oh, yeah. A little goes a long way.
Yeah, a little bit long way. That's why I smothered it.
Yeah.
Cool. So, oh wait, I had a question, and now I was like, I have to think so hard about the question before I have the hot sauce. But so,
What do you think are the biggest issues with the companies you work with?
Very question. Yeah, like you said,
Oh my God.
capital. Yeah. The milk is here. I always like to wait for the guests to grab the milk because I feel like I should feed. Love it. Cheers.
Mm.
Woo.
Oh my God, that is so hot.
Good morning. Right? Who needs coffee? My eyes are red. Your question. I know. I was like, I need like a little handkerchief to dab my eye.
God. I may have to take some that doesn't have something on it.
A little bit.
Yeah,
I'm gonna. Oh no, I'm okay.
You
Fine.
have a like a Kleenex?
Maybe a Kleenex would be good. Yeah. So kind of what you're saying about the inventory thing. Not just like working capital, but I guess working capital is like being able to understand like a difference between revenue, profit, and cash flow.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will be we're both crying. I know, like this is the best part. The curly girls are crying. I know. Dory's gonna have fun with that.
That is a huge one. I mean, it's huge.
Oh, thank you.
Because you can have huge revenue growth and no working capital.
Yeah. Yeah, and you could also be profitable, but still be constantly bringing those profits into the next batch of inventory and not. Because also, if things like with Amazon, it takes a while for you. Sorry, like, this is always the hardest part. We're like, let's talk about the supply chain.
Oh my God.
She goes for more.
Well, the
She's going for more.
No, the untouched.
But yeah, it makes you feel better. Everyone's cried so far. Even we had a guy the last episode. His jaw was fully numb.
Oh my
Like
God.
he was cheating, and he still cried. So
Why was his jaw numb?
he had like jaw surgery.
Oh.
Yeah. I kind of forget why.
That
I
is
dived
tricky.
into it on it. I was like, oh, that's interesting. But yeah, I think it's because a lot of times your money is just gonna be tied up in so many different places, like the inventory that you're trying to get, also as well as like you're waiting for funds to transfer, things like that. Like it's just like Amazon can like hold those funds for like a while before you get them, and so it's being able to like map all that out and actually figure out like what you have and what you don't have and when you need it. And it's just
so
like
hard.
it's a science.
Yeah. And again, like our founders, they're really good at one thing. A lot of cases. Yeah, they don't understand all of these other things. And then there's other costs like insurance and attorney and payroll and, you know, paying your co-packer and all those, you know, it adds up.
Yeah. I'm curious about what is that?
Just crackers, something to
Oh my
maybe-
God, you're so sweet.
I'll take one.
They're like
Little cinnamon
I
sugar.
don't have one. Wait, what are these? It looks like
They're like the airplane cookie things.
Oh yeah,
I like it's like animal crackers, like old time.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love that. Like the one in the little circus box.
Yeah, exactly.
They would be great in skew. I wonder where they're doing. Wow, you're literally crying.
I know. Are you not? I cried fast.
My eyes are super wet.
I have like mascara.
For sure.
No.
It'll be like that one. I don't know if you get maybe some millennial reference, like the one black tear.
Yeah.
You know that was it Laguna Beach? Was it? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
The hills.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I'm curious, like, since you've been in like the beauty like hair care industry for a while and you're super embedded in kind of the e-commerce world, are there any kind of trends that people in like beauty hair e-com space should be aware of, or like what are things that you're seeing? Because I'm sure you have.
Let's see. That's a hard one. I mean, in terms of their channel strategy, I think that there are all kinds of new channels that they wouldn't have thought of. You know, like now you go to Urban Outfitter, Anthropologie, and that's a place you might get beauty products, or dental office or dermatology offices.
Oh yeah.
So the channels are just really, there's so many different channels. You know, independent beauty stores. You know, and I think beauty companies in particular should always have a huge e-com presence. And, you know, whether that's just it can serve a marketing purpose in addition to money, you know, and that's not anything new, but, you know, it's definitely a lot of companies forget about that. And they're so focused on, I want to be in Sephora or Ulta.
Yeah.
Like you can really do a lot on e-com.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. I'm like, yeah.
I can't imagine that happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. So we all just have like one more question. Maybe if you could mention some names like in the e-com, like it could be either just like e-com generally or like beauty, hair care, community space that like sellers who like from the range of like getting started or like doing well but looking to grow, like are there, you know, like how SKU is a fantastic accelerator for CPG companies, like what other kind of resources and communities would you recommend for people to look into and reach out to?
Well, definitely there are big groups like cosmetic executive women, or just going to trade shows too. Like a bunch of my friends are at something called Cosmoprof, and it's huge beauty trade show, and it's so fun to just walk the floor, but it's also a great place to make connections or, you know, just to see trends and things like that. There's, gosh, I feel like, you know, in terms of trade groups, we're actually trying to start something in Austin called Beauty ATX. Because there's so many beauty brands that are here now, like lots of emerging brands. I'm sure other cities have things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So just really, you know, the more you can reach out and connect with other founders too, I think that's really beneficial. I mean, in some cases, people can be very competitive with one another, but a lot of I feel like so many people want to work together and they want to figure out ways to collaborate and help each other.
Yeah, the pie is so big.
The pie is so big. Yeah. And especially with new categories, like the more people that are in it, it just raises awareness.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, amazing. Well, thanks for joining us.
I'd like to say it was a pleasure.
It was for most of it. Here.
It was for most of it. Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to say to the audience before we?
Well, if you are an emerging brand that would like to scale and is looking for like
a kick-ass way to do it, I encourage you to, you know, go to the SKU website and see when we're accepting applications for brands for a new cohort, because I think we're a great resource, and we'd love seeing new interesting emerging brands.
Wonderful.
I feel like I'm like so nasal.
You're great. No, anything it's clearer than that.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I guess that's a wrap. Great. you.